Welcome back. These freezing cold temperatures are good news for hockey fans, creating prime conditions to flood those rinks. Gordon Severson takes us to Minneapolis, where they're using the cold weather to get the rinks ready to go.
With all the cold weather and the snow we've had recently, you may be wondering, when will the ice rinks be open for the season? Well, here in Minneapolis, parks officials say they're working on it, and it takes more work than you might think. To make the best ice, you need to start early.
They've been out here since 5 a.m.
Ben Johnson with the Minneapolis Park and Rec Board says the cold weather in the morning is perfect for making ice.
The best temperatures are between 0 and 10 degrees.
Too cold, not good. If it's too warm, not good. It's like right in the middle is good.
And workers can only make about 1 inch of ice per day.
Put too much, you make it shell ice.
That's why building a rink can take several weeks.
It's still a pretty old school process.
In Minneapolis, they're working to open 44 rinks at 22 city parks. Bloomington also started flooding their rinks on Tuesday. They're hoping to have the rinks and warming shelters open on December 15th. In St. Louis Park, their goal is to be open by the 20th. But in St. Paul, parks officials are hoping to have a few rinks open by this weekend.
Kind of a quintessential Minnesota wintertime thing.
Johnson says they're hoping to have a better ice rink season this year. He says last winter was below average, and 2 years ago, they only had the rinks open for 6 days.
That was really tough.
He says they're off to a great start this year, and as long as they don't see rain, the rinks will soon be ready for skating.
People love their local neighborhood rink.
Here in Minneapolis, their goal is to have all the rinks open by December 22nd for winter break. But there's a chance a few of the rinks may be open earlier, so keep an eye on their website. Gordon Severson, KARE 11 News.
Check this out. That's an unlikely sight in Duluth. Yesterday, a mountain lion spotted in town forced some of the schools to keep all staff and students inside, just to be safe. Police say that the Minnesota DNR was aware of the animal and that it likely wandered in from another state. The schools eventually got the all clear. Now officials are reminding people, if they see a mountain lion, don't approach it. We're about 2 months out from the Winter Olympics in Milan, and we're starting to highlight Minnesota connections to the athletes preparing for the world's biggest stage. And we begin with women's hockey player Kendall Coyne Schofield, who plays for the PWHL Minnesota Frost. Speed is her superpower, her reputation, the fastest woman in hockey. This wouldn't be her first visit to the Olympics, but as Julia Daniels shows us, there are some things that make this year's possibility particularly exciting.
The Olympics are right around the corner, which is unbelievable in and of itself. But how excited are you for this Winter Olympics in Milan?
So excited. Obviously, we have a process to get there. We have quite the process ahead of us, but super excited. We have a great group of 30 players right now that ultimately we have to get down to 23. The Olympics aren't every 4 years, they're every day. And that means if we're together or we're not together. It's an everyday process. And obviously the touch points that we do get together, we get even better and more sharp being together than we do apart. But every day we're not together, we're working, and it's tactically, technically, physically, mentally, just all those pillars that we're continuing to sharpen day by day as we get closer to Milan.
Obviously, we have the PWHL now, something that we never had before in the past Olympics. How do you feel like that is upping the competition this year?
It's definitely closing the gap of women's hockey around the world, which is exactly what we want to see. But I think what's unique about this year is usually we would enter a residency program. So back in 2022, we resided in Blaine, Minnesota, and we were together every day. That was the team we played for. So it's different in the fact that we're not residing like I have the last 3 games experiences. So that means when we are together, we really, really have to make the most of those week we have or 2 weeks we have, whatever time we have together leading into Milan.
With the Frost, you guys have a lot of former Olympians on that roster already. We're anticipating that come January, a lot of Frost players are going to be on this upcoming Olympic team. How exciting is that for you?
It's super excited. Minnesota is the state of hockey, and we have a lot of awesome local players, from the state of Minnesota, and some, whether they're making their Olympic debut or will be returning to the games. I feel very confident that there will not only be some Minnesota Frost players on the team, but also some Minnesota Gophers as well. So the state of Minnesota is always well represented at the Olympic Games, and I feel very confident that it will be again this time around in hockey.
So this is your 4th Olympics. What is your favorite thing about going to the Olympics?
It's just that it represents the pinnacle of the sport. I think the spirit of the Olympic Games, just bringing the world together through sport, it's so incredible to see. But I think everyone's really anticipating the Milan Games because the Beijing Games were unique. They were very challenging, going through those in a global pandemic, and it wasn't the true experience of an Olympic Games. And having 2 prior experiences before Beijing, I knew that. And so I'm really excited for the players that were in Beijing and to really get to experience the Olympic Games, to have our family, to have our friends there, and to have a crowd and people cheering and clapping and just bringing the world together in the way that the Olympic and Paralympic Games does. So I think that's what I'm most excited about. Individually, I think this would be the first Games for me as a mom, and I think that's definitely going to be the most special.
Thank you, Julia. Appreciate it. We got more news and weather coming up after the break.